She insisted. She said she was fed up with it. She was severely beaten by him and then raped. In the end, he threatened her that if she left him... Hello, welcome to another episode of Criminal Patrol. The year 2017, well, it wasn't a good or easy year for Anna. Basically, her relationship fell apart. She was separated from her husband at that time. Well, basically, there was no real contact between them anymore, but they were still living in the same apartment. A mother of an adult daughter and a 13-year-old son. She was sitting at home then. Well, she felt kind of lonely. She thought maybe she would go out to someplace. All the more so because for some time she had a trusted friend or even a close friend, Katarzyna. I invite you to watch the next episode.
Do you like watching Criminalny Patrol? Help us record new episodes. Support us through Hero and watch us without ads. Plus get access to additional materials not available anywhere else. Go to herohero.co Criminalny Patrol. The link is also in the description below the video.
Anna had already been married for 20 years. She was from Mazuri and lived in Ozeshe. It's a small town in Upper Silesia. She was a mail woman, so everyone knows the mail woman. The same neighborhoods, the same streets, the same routine, the same people, and basically the same topics. So everything followed the same pattern. Besides work, of course, there were also kids, the house, and responsibilities. And I would say it was like that over and over again. Her relationship with her husband had basically run its course after 20 years. There was no real turning point, no betrayal, nothing that pushed the marriage toward ending. Just as she said, it had simply run its course. There were no feelings left anymore. So they decided that they would separate and then later think about a formal divorce. But they still lived together and somehow managed the household. They continued to take care of and raise the children, although their daughter was already an adult by that time. That's what Anna was thinking at the time. She was 39 years old. That's also basically a kind of turning point in a person's life. She was still wondering if anything else would happen to her in life. Whether she might still meet someone, whether her fate would change. And all of that was spinning around in her head. She kept going over it, processing it, and thinking about it all the time. So at that moment when she felt lonely, she decided that she would actually go to that place with Katarzyna. So the two friends from work sat together and talked about something, and at some point a young man appeared next to her. He said his name was Mohamed. He was 35 years old and he was from Morocco, and that's how it started. They began to talk to each other. Besides, they were having a really good, interesting conversation. Anna was interested in Mohamed. He told her that he had been in Poland for many years, that he could stay here legally, that he had a work permit. In general, that he lives and rents an apartment in Chorzów. He lives there with a friend. He also told her that he was a man who had been through a lot, that he has a wife, but they no longer live together. The only thing that connects them is that they have a daughter together. And that's how the contact between Anna and Mohamed began. They started to stay in touch, and I would say grow closer and closer. They started talking on the phone. It was becoming more and more intimate, and as was obviously to be expected, they became lovers. Well, certainly that period was difficult in Anna's life. Certainly this relationship with Mohammed, who pursued her, who complimented her, who wanted to meet with her more and more, well, it was something she needed. It was definitely important to her as well. Definitely also because of that, well, she kind of got attached to this Moroccan man. However, she was aware that this is a small town. She is a male woman. Well, it's inevitable that as soon as they show up somewhere or are seen together, everyone will find out, and she couldn't allow herself that. First of all, well, she was afraid of all kinds of malicious comments directed at her, probably also at Mohammed, and formally, after all, she was still married. Not that many people knew she was separated from her husband. Well, because of her reputation, she couldn't allow herself to do that. So they both agreed that their relationship would be kept completely secret. They wouldn't tell anyone about it. That they would meet somewhere outside of this town. Most often, in fact, it was some hotels in Silesia. They would go there. Usually it was on the weekend. They met there as lovers. And then they went back to their own lives. Well, it lasted for quite a while. Anna was happy. She met a man who was courting her, who, as I said, complimented her, who, well, talked about wanting to go through life with her, who had some kind of hope that Anna would also be in this relationship. Well, they were supposed to have some kind of future. They were supposed to be together. Obviously, that was extremely important for Anna. Well, she got used to that idea. She was getting more and more comfortable with the idea that after the divorce, she would simply be with Mohammed, and they would actually try to go through life together. She was likely walking through the city one day with those thoughts on her mind. But then a friend approached her. A man whom, well, she knew was a friend, that they moved in the same circles. So she stopped and started talking to him. They talked for quite a while about nothing in particular. At some point, this friend tells her to be careful. She didn't really know what he meant, what she should be careful about. He told me that you have to watch out for Mohammed. But why? Well, because he's not honest. He doesn't tell the truth, and he's deceiving her. I guess he didn't want to tell her everything, but eventually he said that things with that Moroccan guy's wife aren't the way he says they are. Because he's still with his wife. They live together. They run the household together. They raise their daughter together. And he has no intention of leaving her at all. He's just deceiving people this way and taking advantage of women. Well, Anna didn't know what to think about it. Maybe, as she thought, she claimed, well, this friend doesn't know the whole truth. Maybe Mohammed didn't tell him about it. So she decided that she would talk to Mohammed's wife. But before she had that conversation with Mohammed's wife, she told him that she had heard something like that she intended to clear it up with his wife. Well, Mohammed initially said that it was nonsense, that someone is deliberately turning her against him, that it's not true, that he left his wife, that he doesn't keep in touch with her. But Anna insisted. She said that she still needs to clarify it, because otherwise she won't be able to deal with all of this somehow. And then, when she insisted for the first time his true nature came to the surface, he suddenly became aggressive. A man who can't stand opposition. He started to get nervous, and that's when he hit her for the first time. He realized his mistake after a moment and apologized to her. He said it was her fault, that she made him so upset because she doesn't believe him, that she doesn't trust him. And her, he loves her after all, and he hit her because he had reasons, because she made him angry. Their relationship continued. They were together. That was when the first crack appeared in their relationship. It was no longer as idyllic as before. Despite all of this, despite the fact that Mohamed didn't want to agree to her meeting with his wife. But she called her and both women arranged to meet. She went there. Mohamed's wife opened the door for her. They sat down and started talking, and it turned out what that acquaintance had said earlier was confirmed, that Mohamed lives with her, they run the household together, they raise their daughter together. There's no question of them splitting up. There's absolutely no talk of any kind of breakup. They're simply together as husband and wife. And they are still married. At the end, she also told Anna to be careful, because Mohamed takes advantage of women. Was that slander, or was it based on something she knew before? Well, probably yes. She knew her husband, and she knew that kind of contact with a woman whom he was somehow taking advantage of. It wasn't the first time in his life. Anna naturally came to the conclusion that this relationship with Mohamed didn't make sense. She told him about it anyway. She said that he was deceiving her, that he was that kind of person, that she wouldn't trust him anymore, that it didn't make sense, and that they just had to break up. Mohamed absolutely didn't want to think about it. He didn't agree to it. He claimed that he loved her, that he would leave his wife, that they would be together just as they dreamed about, but Anna was unyielding. And she said that she absolutely didn't want to have any contact with him. He didn't give up. He showed up at work. He came to her house. He called. He sent text messages. He just wouldn't give up. All of this lasted for 2.5 months. Anna endured it for 2.5 months. 2.5 months. They basically had no personal contact. And suddenly, after 2.5 months, Anna decides that maybe she'll meet him again. And that's exactly what happened. Well, that's also surprising because, well, she knew about all of this. Mohamed's wife told her, that man told her. He actually admitted it. He himself admitted that he's not loyal. On the one hand, Anna needed someone who, despite everything, was there for her in some way. Did she love him? Or were there other reasons? Well, she decided to go for it, to keep going. This relationship. Well, at that point, to rekindle it, they became a couple again, but this was already a completely different kind of relationship than the one they had before. It was basically a toxic relationship in the sense that Mohamed was aggressive. He beat her, he threatened her, he humiliated her, he took advantage of her. And she stayed with him. What's more, he also often had financial problems, or at least that's what he said. She took out various kinds of loans. She gave him money. She funded those trips, the weekend ones, where they spent days together in a hotel somewhere. Apparently, she even bought a car. She registered that car in his name, and she stayed in that toxic relationship the whole time. She couldn't break free. As we can see, she simply went back to that relationship, probably knowing from the start, if she had thought about it, how it could end. But it's surprising that relationship in that form continued on. She confided in her friend Katarzyna from work. Katarzyna, well, quite reasonably told her that all of this doesn't make any sense. That he's a person who on one hand is disloyal and dishonest. That there's simply no point in being with him. And when Katarzyna found out that he was hitting her, that's when she said, go to the police, girl, report all of this, and most importantly, get away from him. I guess Anna just didn't get it. She just kept enduring it all. It was all wearing her down. After some time, probably struggling with all of this, she tried somehow to fix everything, but she was fixing it in a completely different way than you might imagine, because she started taking antidepressants, also tranquilizers, and in the end, she also started taking intoxicants. She was taking drugs. She was in some kind of frenzy. She was probably struggling with all of it, but the situation continued. That relationship also continued. That relationship, one based on lies, on violence, on aggression, on exploitation. It had lasted almost 2 years. Those 2 years had just passed. It was exactly October 19th, 2020. The A4 motorway. And suddenly the drivers see that between the lanes of the highway, some woman is running around. It's October, but she's dressed only in some light dress. She's in some kind of trance. Nothing gets through to her. They're trying to talk to her. But she's unresponsive. She's running. The only thing she keeps repeating. That's what she says. I did something terrible. The drivers called an ambulance. They called the police. No, the police officers also called an ambulance. They couldn't communicate with her. She was completely detached from reality. No arguments worked. No words could reach her. There was no other way. She just had to be taken away. And she ended up under the care of doctors. That was on October 19th. The day before, October 18th, Anna and Mohamed were going on another romantic trip. Although calling it romantic is probably an exaggeration, but they were actually supposed to meet at another hotel. This time it was a hotel in Katowice. This romantic trip was probably also because it was Mohammed's birthday then. Anna would buy him various kinds of gifts from time to time. He also dreamed of having a pistol. That was his dream, and indeed Anna bought him such a pistol. It's a black powder weapon. So as you know, you can easily buy it online. And basically she didn't need any kind of permit for that. So, happy? She packed up the pistol and handed it to him, hoping that he would be happy, because after all, owning a gun was his dream, but he unwrapped it. He saw that it was a black powder gun. He said, "What kind of gun is this?" He wasn't expecting a gift like that. No, he wants to have a real firearm, not some kind of imitation. So then, disappointed by all of this, she took the pistol and put it in her purse. On October 18th, around 8 o'clock, they entered the hotel room. It was supposed to be romantic, but basically it was as usual. An argument started almost immediately. Mohamed was upset with her because he called her the previous day and she didn't answer the phone. Some kind of argument, a quarrel started. She told him that she was fed up with being treated like that and that she would leave him. He, on the other hand, said that he would never allow that she would always be with him. When she insisted, saying she had enough of it, she was severely beaten by him and then raped. In the end, he threatened that if she left him, he would hurt her daughter as well. And that might be an argument for why Anna stayed with him. Well, it's not impossible that Mohamed had simply threatened her before, that her daughter would be harmed, that she was afraid for her, that in all of this she couldn't find any logical solution and she accepted it out of concern for her daughter, that he could simply do it. Well, when he beat her, when he raped her, he just fell asleep. Beaten, distraught. She took antidepressants. She also took a narcotic she had in a syringe, and of course she was in some kind of trance. When she saw him sleeping, she went to her purse. In that purse she had that gun. With black powder ammunition, she walked up to him with that gun, put it to his head, and shot him. So when Anna shoots Mohamed, it's 6:10, it's already October 19th. It's a black powder firearm, so there's a lot of smoke, so much that the fire alarm in the room just goes off. A hotel employee arrives very quickly, knocks on the door. Anna opens it for him, and he even enters the room. Anna starts explaining to him that nothing is happening, nothing happened, but the hotel employee also notices, as he later said, a man lying strangely on the bed. This man didn't react to his arrival, didn't say anything, but was lying in some kind of strange position. Anna said that nothing happened and that she now has to leave and go to the car, but she'll be back in a moment and explain everything. The employee went back to his place, returned to the reception, but all of this kept bothering him. So he decided to go back to that room and see what was actually going on there. He entered, the door was open, he approached the bed and saw that the man was simply dead, and there was a pool of blood around his head. He realized that a murder had probably taken place here. The man notified the police and an investigation began. The hotel employee, of course, gives a description of the woman who was in that room. He also provides the names of the people who checked into the hotel. The police quickly realized that the woman who was picked up from the highway in the morning and taken to the hospital is the same woman from the hotel. An inspection is underway in that room. The police are conducting an inspection in that room. There are plenty of fingerprints at the scene, in the room. Everything needed to determine that it was Anna who fired the shot. Anna couldn't be questioned for several days. The doctors simply didn't allow it. She was in such deep shock. Afterwards, she didn't admit to anything. Finally, after a few days, the doctors agreed to let her be questioned. On October 24th, she was brought to the prosecutor's office. There, she was presented with charges. The charges, of course, were for the murder of Mohamed, and then she was placed in pretrial detention. When Anna was placed in pretrial detention, she tried to kill herself while in custody. Fortunately, she was saved in time. The doctor who performed the autopsy determined that Mohamed died as a result of a gunshot from that black powder firearm. That the shot was fired from close range. The bullet did not exit the skull, so the bullet remained inside the whole time. With its force, it caused massive devastation and destruction of the brain, and that's what caused Mohamed's death. It was clear that Anna was the one who fired the shot. However, what was also crucial in this case was what the psychiatric experts who would examine her would say. Anna remained under the care of doctors. These doctors were also supposed to determine her degree of criminal responsibility at the moment she fired the shot. Whether her criminal responsibility was diminished or whether she did it with full awareness. After many months, the doctors determined that Anna had diminished criminal responsibility at the moment she fired the shot. And of course, this fundamentally influenced the verdict, which was announced here by the regional court in Katowice. Well, in the first phase, Anna received, so to speak, only 8 years of imprisonment and 100,000 zlotys in compensation. Besides, Mohamed's wife was a auxiliary prosecutor in this case, and then the court reduced the sentence even further to 6 years of imprisonment. Well, of course, if we look at it from the point of view that 6 years for a murder is not much. But if we look at it from the perspective that Mohamed was also an abuser, then it seems that the sentence was fair. It's the year 2026. Anna was sentenced in 2020, so it looks like Anna will simply get out of prison this year. And that's the end of this story of Anna and Mohammed's relationship, and that's it for today's episode. Of course, subscribe to our channel, and as always, take care.
Do you like watching Criminal Patrol? Help us record new episodes. Support us through Hero and watch us without ads. Plus, get access to additional content that's not available anywhere else. Go to herohero.co, Criminalni Patrol. The link is also in the description below the video.